Good morning. Well, we're going to talk about anxiety today, what it is, what it looks like, and how you as an author can adequately describe it to your readers. And as I'm talking about this topic, I'm already feeling my own anxiety sort of mount and to peak a little bit. I might describe some of my own experiences and my own stories about anxiety in a different post. But for today, we're just going to do a broad overview of what anxiety is and what it might look like. Okay, so anxiety is not just being afraid. It's not just seeing a snake and recoiling from it. Can be very vague, and it's not always easy to figure out why it's happening. It's like a elevated level of your fear response system, but it just is vague, and so it's hard to describe. And people who are experiencing anxiety don't always know why they're experiencing the symptoms they are. Now, if they look close enough, they may find triggers, internal, external triggers, a thought, a smell, just something that they saw that has caused them to experience this anxiety, but it's not as easy to peg down as, oh, this is a fear. And people that have anxiety, this is not just, oh, I feel vaguely stressed. This is somebody that their anxiety is affecting their daily life. It's keeping them from doing what they would like to do in their life, and it's keeping them from doing it for a long period of time. So this is debilitating often. So there are different types of anxiety, and there's different diagnoses that people can receive that all go back to this anxiety-related illness. People that have anxiety often suffer from unusual behaviors. They have panic attacks. They have unwarranted fear of objects or phobias. They have uncontrollable repeated actions. So this is somebody that's suffering from OCD. They keep experiencing their traumatic events, and they have unexplained worry, and it's just overwhelming to them. So there are basically three stages to the anxiety process. Alarm, so that would be the initial adrenaline rush that comes to the body. Blood sugar goes up as the body prepares to either fight or flee. The next one is resistance. And so different parts of the body start shutting down. So this would be your digestive system starts sending blood to the muscles, into the lungs and the heart. Heart rate starts to increase, breathing rate increases, and then the oxygenated blood goes to the body. This is the time when the person can either relax or adapt. But there are certain stages later on that once the anxiety peaks to a certain point, it's very hard to calm down. Afterwards, there's a feeling of exhaustion where all of the body's reserves have been used up and the person is just left so tired they're unable to respond to their triggers. They can still be very afraid. Now, if this is a chronic stage, then this exhaustion phase can lead to things such as depression. So what does anxiety feel like? Well, it's very uncomfortable. Everything is wrong. You feel like you need to run, to flee, to fight, but there's nobody there or thing to fight. So logical thoughts often do not occur. So people just try to adapt anything to get the anxiety to stop. And this is not a bad thing. You know, when you're feeling this terrible, of course you're going to want it to make it to stop. So some healthy ways to do this would be like relaxation techniques, breathing slowly, meditation. But if it doesn't work, if your adaptation techniques don't work, then it can lead to things such as tension headaches, pain syndromes. So this is somebody that's got chronic pain and don't know why. And it really just decreases the immune system. So the person is left vulnerable to any other disease. The common cold, they just cannot stay well because their stores for anxiety are just depleted. So the different levels of anxiety. Somebody that's experiencing mild anxiety, their senses are sharpened. This is somebody that's got butterflies in their stomach. They're a little hypersensitive to noise. They're having trouble sleeping. This can be a good stage as long as it stays at this stage. This is somebody that's nervous before getting up to perform, or you're sitting down at your computer to write and you're feeling a little anxious. You feel a little jittery. Some people thrive in this environment, in this state. It helps them to be better at what they do. So a little bit of anxiety can be expected whenever you're going outside your comfort zone. Now, moderate anxiety is a little bit different. They had trouble connecting thoughts. Sometimes the person will go on autopilot, where things are just, they can't hear anything else, they can't take any more stimulus in, and they're very focused in on what they're doing. They're usually diaphoretic, so it means they're sweating a lot. They got a pounding pulse, their voice kind of goes up a bit, They start talking a little faster, and their stomachs just is cramping. It's not just the butterflies anymore. We've passed the butterfly stage. So this is somebody that has just walked away from that car accident. This is severe anxiety. Depends on how reactive they are, but they're a little dazed. They're a little confused. It's hard to nail everything down, and things just pass by in a blur. Severe anxiety, things become scattered. Okay, and so they are not able to complete full tasks. They can't solve problems. They start acting like they're going to do something, and then they stop. And they go back, and they can't gather enough of their thoughts together to complete an actual task. At this point, things to calm down are not effective. Breathing techniques, visualization. At this point, anxiety is spiraling upward. This is when ritualistic behavior starts. Well, it could have been going on for a while, but it's where it gets unmanageable, where it's very hard to get to stop. This is your OCD person that keeps going back to the door to open it and close it several times because they cannot move on from that behavior. Nausea and vomiting may occur, diarrhea. The body is basically trying to purge anything else that's going on in the system so they can focus on this severe threat. And so digestion ceases, essentially. And the body tries to offload any excess materials so that they can use all the energy stores towards responding to the stimulus. People get rigid, they get pale, vertigo occurs, heart rate is pounding, sometimes chest pain can occur. This is not quite panic. So panic attack, everything is focused on self. They cannot process anything else out in their environment. Their perceptions are distorted. They do not have rational thought. They cannot recognize potential danger. And so if this person has experienced a car accident and they're still staying around the scene, they may wander into traffic. They can't see what's going on. They may experience some delusions. So things that are not real, things that are coming into their perceptual field that they believe are occurring, but they're not quite real. They may become suicidal or try to run. Some may feel completely immobile and mute. Pupils are typically dilated. If you took their blood pressure at this time, they'd probably let you do it because they're frozen, essentially. You'll find that their blood pressure is through the roof. They're in the middle of their fight or flight response. This stage does not last very long, thank goodness. And so if you ever see somebody experiencing a panic attack, the most important thing is to get them safe. Okay, so if you have a family member or if you yourself have ever experienced panic attacks and you're getting to this unsafe level, it's important that the person is taken away from whatever environment is stimulating them. So if they're in a really crowded room, things are loud, lights are bright, to take them out of that area and put them someplace safe. Waiting for the event to end is important, just to keep them, because this stage it lasts from 5 to 30 minutes. And eventually it will fade. It may last and go down to severe anxiety or moderate anxiety. But just being safe is the most important part. Now, it's okay. So we're writing fictional characters, right? So what are we going to do with our characters with anxiety? Well, once you get these things right, once you start establishing what it looks like and what your character may be experiencing, you can actually use this as a story arc. And I've mentioned this before. If you go back in one of my later videos, it's talking about anxiety and character development and using neuroticism as a character arc. It goes into that a bit more. So anxiety is an excellent plot device, though, because overcoming the fear and anxiety itself is a very tangible personality trait that you can kind of use as your character overcomes and faces their demons and faces their fears. You can write a story about this. I've before used the example of Batman as he uses bats, and about how he overcomes his fear for bats. He doesn't become necessarily less afraid of bats, but becomes braver over time. Using your fears in your characters is also a way to ramp up tensions and conflict. So there's all these relaxation techniques, and there's all these things that you can do to help the person that's facing anxiety. Well, we're talking about fictional characters, and so ethics kind of goes out the window. What can you add to your patient, keep saying patient, my bad, wrong field. What can you add to your character's anxiety to make it worse? Okay, so conflict is key to our stories. So add that character into your story that just does not understand your other character's anxiety. It keeps making things worse. Ramp up that tension. Really make it heated. Make it where things are getting worse and worse and worse. All their triggers are being fired at once. And see if that changes your scene a little bit. See if that adds some drama and some conflict to your story. So next time we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety disorders as they manifest as individual little nuggets. So you have your OCD people, you have people experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder. There are a few other different broad categories of anxiety as itself. So our future posts are going to be talking about that, what it might look like, how anxiety manifests. So be sure to click the next video. I'll probably be posting it tomorrow. But it's nice to have you with us on our journey, and good luck writing. Have a good one, y'all.